What's up everyone, welcome back. This week we are on my M42 dry sump, so it's finally back. The welding is done. I'm super keen to show you guys how this thing came out. Stay with us. There she is. So as you can see, the dry sump is back, and it's back from welding. Now it took quite a bit to get this thing right, and there's a lot of changes I'm gonna make on the production units, but this is how we go. We have to learn. Right, so there's a lot of changes I'm gonna make on this design. It's all part of the process, but this is going to be the test mule. This will be the one that I run on my M42 B21. So it is it's good. It's good. I really like it. I really like how it's come out. Let me take you through the assembly of this and how it's going to work and what upgrades we're going to bring to it. If you want to see some more of this kind of content, please consider subscribing. Just click on the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you're good to go. So on the top we have this baffle plate. It's like a windage tray, right? It kind of stops any oil that's in here splashing up against the crank, even though the pump is scavenging the oil at a much higher rate than a conventional pump would. We still want to avoid any sort of froth in the oil or any windage. Then you will see we've put this screen in. So now these screens they come in lots of different design parameters. Some people talk about microns, but there's a lot to it. The aperture and all of that is good enough for what we're going to use. And then we have these louvers. Now this brings us on to one of the design changes. I didn't realize when I designed this in Fusion that I actually made this plate 3 mils as well. So it was really difficult to work with, and that's one of the things we're going to change. We're going to change this to steel, and we're also going to make it either 0.9 or 1 millimeter, something like that, because it doesn't need to be this thick. So the screen at the bottom really serves as a catchment for large debris. So if you perhaps run a bearing or something, it's so that the debris doesn't get sucked up and go into the pump, so it saves your pump. And let's say silicon or anything that might come out from the engine, it kind of just prevents all the big debris from going into the pump. Like I said, scavenges through those 2 sections, and we're gonna make some changes with this pan because you might end up with a bit of sloshing here. It's really going to be minimal, but it's because of the nature of the angle of this engine. It's a bit of a challenge, so yeah, we're going to look at that, and that's also why we have the windage tray, but that will come in future updates. But for revision 1 of this, I think it's come out really nice. If I turn it around, that's how it looks. Really nice. The welder's finished it off real nice. You got your 2 AN10 fittings here. It's really pretty. Now obviously we can anodize this. We can anodize it grey, we can anodize it black, whatever, but I'm going to leave it aluminium for now, just in case we need to make any changes. One of the updates we're looking at is basically triangulate or creating a slope in the middle to make sure that the oil drains directly to the pickup, but we're not sure how we're going to incorporate that at this stage because of these angles. I mean, this is the flat surface, so yeah, there's some work to be done there, but either way I'm super happy with how this came out. So now, effectively, that can go on the car. But we have another problem. When I went to strip the engine for the dry sump conversion, took the head off and to get the front cover off. And what I found was that the center plunger in the hydraulic lifter had indentations in it. And then I went to go inspect the valve, and the valve tip had slight mushrooming on the tip. I came to realize that we have now exceeded the design parameter of the original components. So this is why a lot of the companies like Cat Cams, Strick, Calvert Cams make specific stages for your cams. And what is happening here is effectively because of the high RPM and the stiffer Supertech valve springs, the original hydraulic lifter, which is now converted to a solid lifter, is still too heavy for the kind of RPM that we are trying to push this engine to. And what it's doing is it is causing a lot of harmonic frequency at high RPM, but basically hammering the tip of the valve, so that it's basically putting it into like a failure mode. So I'm very lucky I caught it very early. Just keeping in mind that motor didn't run that long. We did the dyno with it, it made the power it made, but this was after the 2.1 conversion, and we revved it to 8,000 on the dyno, and yeah, and it's a good job we stripped it because that was the start of a serious failure. So yep, and coming back to why the cam manufacturers make the stages. So what we did with the reground cam is that we effectively did like a stage 2. We did a stage 1 would be a very light regrind on your camshaft, and you use all the same components. We did like a stage 2, so there was a quite an aggressive grind, but we still kept the hydraulic lifter, just converted it into a solid lifter, and then, you know, modified the valve to basically take up the clearance. And that was fine if you're gonna rev the engine to, let's say, 7.5. Even then you're starting to go outside of the valve spring parameters, and that's exactly why I installed the Supertech valve springs, because I saw the springs were starting to touch the piston again. I was lucky I caught it early. But now we've run into the problem where you just push the problem down the line. And when you get to this level, you need to basically go the full Monty. You can't do a half job on an NA engine like this, even a turbo engine that you want to rev high. Now there's lots of tricks that guys do, but you know, I've done a lot of research on how to solve this problem, spoken to a lot of the specialists in the field, and a lot of it comes down to the cam geometry. Now it's all linked. The camshaft is linked, the camshaft design is linked to the valve bucket design. If it's a bucket and shim over the valve, or it's a hydraulic lifter, the grinds are different, and so it's all different. I mean, it's all linked, interlinked, and you can't just, at this level, you can't just change one component. So I'm at the point now where I have to now make a big change, and that means that I'm going to change the camshaft, and I'm going to go from a hydraulic lifter system, which is like a modified hydraulic lifter, to a proper bucket, a valve bucket and a shim. And I have to do that to get away from the issue we have with these lifters, and because it's a failure point. Now the next thing that we're looking at is valves, because now the valve is starting to mushroom, and you could try and repair it, but has it damaged the valves? And now we want to send it up to 8,000. The stresses and the harmonic frequencies, you just don't know. So I'm probably going to have to replace the valves, the buckets, the camshafts, and the whole bang shoot. So I was very, very lucky that I caught this quite early, because yeah, it would have resulted in a drop valve and giant mess, and all that hard work we've put in just gone. The good news is that we should have good reliability from here, and we should have quite a nice bump in performance based on the cams that I've managed to get. So they're not reground cams, they are billet cams, and they're the real deal. They're cat cams from cat cams in, I forget, Hungary or something, which means that there's going to be a delay. So I have to wait till kind of mid-April for those cams to arrive, and then the buckets, and then the engineering and the valves, and it's quite a big cost again. So yeah, we've had even further delays, but at least now we're going to have a proper race engine. We're going to have a dry sump. We're going to have the 45s on the ITBs. We're going to have an airbox setup that we'll do once the engine's back in the car. We're going to have, oh man, what else? The exhaust, and now the cams and the head upgrade, which I think is going to be an amazing combination. And then the rest of the work we're doing on the car. So I have no idea what the car is going to be like to drive. I just can't wait to drive it. I just really want to get back in the car. But this is one of those things where we've gone so far down this road that we have to follow through on in the right areas and spend the money in the right areas. And that's kind of how scope creep comes in on a project like this. So I hope you guys have learned something, that with reground camshafts you can only take it so far, and then that's it. And if you want to go further, you have to go for billet cams, and then you have to upgrade the valve springs and the buckets, potentially the valves as well. Maybe not a lot of the time, but probably you do. So that's going to be it for this episode. From here I've still got to get the crank with the flywheel balanced. I'm just waiting for the hubs that sit on the front pulley for the dry sump system. I'm making those out of aluminium rather than the steel. The steel was very heavy. So when those come back, then we can send the crank for balancing. In the meantime, I need to get all that stuff for the front end cut, and then yeah, we can carry on with this project. Thank you so much for watching. I got some awesome stuff coming up, very excited about that. And then also the build of the white BMW's engine. We've done some cool work. That's all coming up soon. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.